Good morning and welcome to the very first day in the month of September 2022. I am super excited because at least it is rolling over to the end of 2022 and we'll be bathing this particular year away very soon and welcoming the year that I think all Nigerians have been waiting for, and that's the year 2023. And particularly because it is going to be election year and a transition period for the country. I think that's why all fingers must be crossed at this moment, and people looking forward to 2023. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us on this particular edition of Rise and Shine. Of course, it's your early morning starters. You get to wake up with us every day. My name is Janice Kobum.
And I'm glad that you're still here to be able to join us. Welcome. Thanks for being a part of our show. Happy New Month, Janice.
Yeah, happy new month. One
Yeah.
thing about the Ember month, it's like I was just trying to review it. The Ember month looks like the first quarter of every year. The first quarter just comes and it comes like very fast.
Oh, yeah,
Before you
that's
know what's
true.
happening, you're in the third month. And that's the same thing that happens with the Ember month. When once we just hit September,
It
before you know
begins
it,
to run.
we are on December and the year is over.
Mm.
But I just hope that the remaining part of the month or the remaining part of the year just delivers to us. Yes, all are good. Like we normally start our conversations, we tell you about some of the trending gist making it on yeah, in the country, not just on social media, but in the country. But one thing
Because not
that
so
made
short.
me want to say social media is that when once it hits on social media, it
Uh,
just goes viral,
everywhere.
like like wildfire. Anyways, where do we start our story from?
Even starting from a social media related matter. I mean, we saw that the Labour Party have come out to say that they are not a social media
Party.
party, that they have 20 million voters. So these rants that we're always ranting about them
Yes,
being social
yeah,
media
no,
parties,
22 million
22
voters.
million, yes, not 20.
22 million voters. And
Mm.
I've also said that, look, it's just social media. The obedient people are just on social media. We don't get to see them real time. But I think that these people, this set of people, have defied all odds, and they've had different kinds of rallies in different states, in even in Nigeria, and
Mm.
even in states that they were like would I say taunted? Yes, they were taunted that they were only going to have like two people come out. They defied all odds, and then we saw the number of people that trooped out for the obedience walk. They always call it a walk,
Mm.
but I think that this kinds of things, begins to give the other opposition party or the other contesting parties, some kind of the narrowness, whatever it is that they have to be able to win the elections come 2023. Now, it's not going to, like we normally say, business as usual.
Mm.
This is going to be a real tussle,
Mm.
between the other parties in trying to see that they get to win the elections. But the truth is, Nigerians actually deserve a change. They want a change, and that is what they are pushing for
Mm.
right now.
Yeah. And it's actually very risky for anyone, like any other party, to think that whichever third force is rising, whether it's an LLP third force or it's an NNPP third force, it's risky for anyone who's going for any of these seats to think that they should not take them seriously. It's
Yes.
very risky, whether you have an opinion that they're just on social media and do not have structures. I mean, so that the 20 million or 22 million people on social media will not shock you at polling votes. You better take them very seriously and have like counter strategies and plans as to how your party is going to work. Because if you just feel like you said, it's not business as usual. Nigerians have shockers up their sleeves for the political elite. It's not going to be business as usual. We are in a day where we are taking our business into our hands. Okay, like we saw the secretary of the Labour Party, Comrade Arabami Abayomi, the National Publicity Secretary, making the statement in Lagos. He said Nigerians are yearning for change as the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) has failed to meet the expectations of the people. We are not a social media political party. The people that are conducting our rallies across the state are human.
Yeah, I think you know, looking at that consumption to production, I think it's something that has really bedeviled the country, where we get to consume a lot more than we get to even produce. And I think that the Labour Party, to an extent, have been able to identify this key area,
As a
and that
major
is
problem.
what they are using, you know, as their blueprint come the next elections. Aside from all the things that, you know, that other political parties are saying that they are going to do when they come into power. But I think that if you take Nigeria away from just consumption into production, not just producing for the local consumption now, but also promoting exportations as well, I think it will do us a whole lot of good. And when you look at the economy today, you know that even borrowing to produce and then export, that will, you know, bring like a return to investment for us as a country. But we are producing rather we are borrowing and then consuming as well. So where do we even get the monies to even begin to like pay return on investments? So those are the kind of problems that we have found ourselves in this country. And then looking at you know, the no structure thing right from the beginning, I think that that was more like the key area, you know, that other political parties used in clamping down on the Labour Party, or they do not have a structure, they are all on social media. So I think that the Labour Party has put in serious work into making sure that they just register 22 million voters. I think that before we get to even the elections proper, they would have, you know, registered more. But let's even look at it, 22 million out of 200 million people, also depending also on the number of voters, eligible voters that we have. Okay, I think that's also a small ratio.
Yeah, it's a small ratio, but we need to be able to register the fact that they have made a lot of progress from a no structure and no people, you know, political party, to having been able to register 22 million people. And now that's 22 million people prior to campaigns. So what happens when they might actually, you know, just grow in the number? You're still going to have people that are going to make last minute polling unit change of mind because of, like you said, sell your party's candidates and your manifesto very effectively. Don't try to coerce me. So you're going to have more people get to try to sell whoever they're vying for, you know, they want to support more, you know, better. So I think, I mean, they stand a good chance at this time. They're making progress, and it will be a really nice thing to look at, you know, come February 2023.
Yeah, nice thing to look at actually, and we hope that aside from that, you know, this period we've seen a lot of cross-carpeting, and we are also going to see a lot of anti-politics or anti-party politics playing out in 2023 as well. Just like you said, people making up their minds last minute, even at the polling units. And then don't you also think that there are people they want, and at the end of the day, they will work towards that
Janice,
as well?
you know that that's a very big truth. At the end of the day, there are people that are in certain parties. They are going to vote for the gubernatorial candidates in their party, but they will vote for the presidential candidates in another party. You know, and some of those things is a mix. There is, at this point, there's really no person, even party stalwarts, that are like, I'm totally dedicated to this party at this time. Some people are in their parties, but they already know who they're going to vote. I mean, we've literally heard someone who said, I'm in this party, I'm going to vote for that party or that party. So yes, this election is going to come. The bride of the political party, he's going to be in a particular party and then maybe be working for another party. So those things, those intrigues are all there. The Nigerians who are going to be getting the money from some parties doing what they want in other parties, of course, these are things that are in our election season. But I mean, Labour Party, they're beginning to make more bold statements than ever. You know, their grounds.
I think so too. And I think that for the past couple of weeks now, we've seen the presidential flag bearer of the Labour Party like really confidently, you know, making statements, more like, okay, from all that he's been seeing around the country, don't forget that even some of these rallies and walks that have been happening around the country, it is not even the Labour Party presidential candidate that is doing some of those things in states. It's making him more emboldened, you know. And let's take our minds back even to the 60-second NBA annual general conference.
Of course.
When he walked into the room, it was chairs and chairs and chairs everywhere, and it took like I think
A few minutes.
a few minutes before calm could be restored. So I think all of this playing out right now and is building him a lot more in terms of his confidence, in terms of yes, his confidence towards the 2023 elections. Anyway,
I even saw like a video where he was being advised to leverage on the technological shift that is happening in the world.
Okay.
I mean, it was like elites from a particular, like it was Nigerians in diaspora. Technology, you'd be able to have more youth in your direction. I mean, the next generation. And I'm like, hello, this is what is really happening. They are being accused of being a social media savvy party because they are leveraging on technology already. So imagine that they expand on that and are able to bring those people, to real time. That's already great. So he's even having great advice and all of those things. So I mean, I can believe we'll get to hear more of him in the coming months. And I mean, we usually will talk about Kwankwaso of NNPP.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
also a force to
yes,
reckon
he's also
with
a
too,
force to reckon with. He's
especially in the
making his
north.
moves. Yes. So we have a big one.
Okay, so I think that let's even hit more on that. I think that in the issue of Kwankwaso, there was a time, I can't remember who exactly, said it, that those in the north, do not do social media. I can't remember exactly who made that comment. A very big, political actor made that comment that those in the north are not used to social media. So I think that's what's actually playing out for Kwankwaso. But he is a very strong, contender when it comes to, the northern areas. And of course, that's in these things, when the votes are coming from the north, you see like a trailer load. It comes in millions,
Yeah.
Okay, so let's I think at this point maybe we'll just take a breather for the news brief or something.
I think we can take one more
Okay, so we can
story,
take one more story.
actually.
Now,
So-
talking about consultations, because I know that the Labour Party has been doing a lot of consultations in recent times. Talking about consultations now, the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on Tuesday met with the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, Tima, the likes of Dakwa Biodun, governor of Ogun State, Simon Lalong of Plateau State, and of course, Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawali, amongst others. Of course, the report says that the APC presidential flag bearer had in recent consultation meetings met the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and you know that the outcome of that meeting will never be brought, will be just some kinds of picture snapping and handshaking, and there's some kinds of cordiality going on in this particular video. This is what we get to see. But of course, trust Nigerians. Anyhow it is, at the end of the day, we still find snippets of the conversations coming out. But again, it brings me to, I think sometime in 2015 when Jonathan was still president of Nigeria. I know that the APC at the time, led by Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and a lot happened actually. So we just take, I think we have a picture of a particular statement that was made, by Tinubu at the time. And you know how Nigerians do their things.
They always dig it up.
They'll always go and dig it up and bring up stuff, just to, whatever it is you're trying to do. But I think that is also an advice, to former presidents, Goodluck Jonathan. Okay, so know where the limits, know where to draw the lines in these kinds of conversations. But I think that naturally consultations are just natural, especially
towards the former president Goodluck Jonathan. I think like this is literally the major first consultation so far.
Not actually. I know that a lot of political stalwarts have been visiting him in recent times, and
the current strong forces in contesting for the seat of the presidency. There's not been so much consultation.
Okay, I think that's the picture. You'll be swimming in crude oil and fuel. Buhari will pay you 5,000 naira monthly for being jobless. Our youths will be gainfully employed with 3,000 jobs a year.
3 million jobs a year.
Okay, 3 million jobs a year. Of course, that's Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2014, as against 2015.
Or had other administrations before this person comes in, whoever the person is now, in terms of Goodluck Jonathan, and you're promising Nigerians to have electricity in 6 months, that administrations
that's a
before
whole
then,
total conversation on its own. You know, this particular propaganda that was used against Goodluck Jonathan, it's a whole lot of conversation on its own. But I think at this point we'll just take a breather and then go to Mary Joseph, who is actually standing by for the news brief, and then when we come back, of course, we'll elaborate more on this particular conversation.
powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abel.
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord.
Citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria, legally speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
general delegates.
This will be Lagos, Nigeria today as we want to improve the lives in State County.
Good morning. This is your morning news brief on Spectrum, live from Oyo. I am Mary Joseph. We begin with the total value of capital importation into Nigeria in the second quarter of 2022, as it has increased by 75.3% to $1.5 billion from $875.6 million in the corresponding quarter of 2021. The National Bureau of Statistics made this known in its document titled Nigerian Capital Importation Quarter 2 of 2022. Away from that, former President Goodluck Jonathan is asking Nigerians to protect the country's Dome of Sokoto Diocese, Bishop Hassan Kuka, in Abuja. Elsewhere, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has called on retired Army generals to exploit their contacts with the American Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, to end terrorism in the country. The governor and former presidential aspirant of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, made the call in Port Harcourt while reacting to alleged threats from an unnamed retired army chief. Still on security, Department of State Services has clarified that it does not engage in abducting or terrorizing Nigerians, but rather seeks measures to protect them at all times. The agency was reacting to a report credited to Amnesty International to the effect that the DSS under the present administration abducted Nigerian citizens. Let's head now to the foreign scene, where Estonia is looking to stop most Russians from entering the country within weeks in concert with its regional partners. Estonia foreign minister number of Russian citizens entering the country. And finally, in sport, Arsenal has defeated Aston Villa by 2-1 at the Emirates Stadium. With the victory, the Gunners maintain their perfect record in the Premier Leagues. We'll have details of these stories and more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Rise and Shine, where we have Janice and Oyai on standby. Have a wonderful morning.
Government, Secretary General delegates.
This will be Lagos, Nigeria today as we want to improve the lives in State County.
Not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again. For us in Akwa Ibom State, it is another opportunity to elect credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in the Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants, what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning,
because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan. It's just a mere slogan to use and have their right into power.
What do you, the people, think about the elections?
The electoral process has been marred by malpractice and all of that.
That's the bad thing in Nigeria. All election night is about money.
Definitely, no matter what the reform they are carrying out, they will still be rigging.
It's about the aspirants, the manifesto, the people's view, an in-depth analysis.
That goes to corrupt system.
If it is not godfatherism, somebody like me, I will become the counselor. So because I don't have a godfather, it will not work.
Because people feel that they will come and invest, they need to get something back home. So the major aim is not about the people, it's about their family and themselves.
Godfatherism will not help the politics to grow. It won't help democracy to grow.
Vote buying will even be more this time around because these people, most of them have stolen a lot of money and they will use this money to buy votes.
Who gets to represent you in government at all levels?
Well, for me, the new breed aspirants, I would love the new breed aspirants. But for those, there are some of them that will not, I would say.
By 3 p.m. each day, exclusive to Spectrum Television, as we take on the aspirants set to lead you.
giving us all the latest information we need to know about the country and of course globally as well on the news brief desk. Okay, back here, I think that before we went for that particular news brief, we were having conversations around the recent visit of the APC presidential candidate Ahmed Bola Tinubu and his running mates and other governors of the APC paying a visit to former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan. And of course, they say that the details of that visit is not going to be made public. We only get to see videos. But I think that from some quarters, they have also said that whatever it is that they were meeting, it is for the general good of the country, looking for a way forward for the country. But again, somebody like an activist and use and dump former president Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Let's also take it back to, I think somewhere in April, was it in April now, you know, that they said, okay, so there were those rumors, you know, surrounding the former president of Nigeria that he was going to also contest in the APC, under the umbrella of the APC. And then he now came out, a spokesperson from his camp came out to say, oh, it's not true, they debunked the story. And then a few days later, we had another one that, okay, so they bought the president back and forth. We didn't quite know what the true story was. But at the time, I know that a lot of Nigerians harped on that particular conversation. And so many people were against even the former president coming back again, you know, to rule the country. And I think that it is also on the background of the fact that after he left office in 2015, he's been one person that has been internationally recognized in the whole world, you know, going from more for one how do I put it now, for one advocacy or the other, going for some very high profile international guy. That even after, you know, his rulership, his administration in 2015, he could actually attract so much recognition from the international and global space. And I think that that is from that background that a lot of people just thought that it was really totally unnecessary to now begin to come back again as, you know, to contest as president of Nigeria.
Well, coming back to unnecessary, well, Nigerians know why they think the things they think. But I will not that I will revel in the glory of, you know, the things he did in 2015. He gave him a very good footing. I think for a person like the former president Goodluck Jonathan, if he ever wants to come back to the presidency, he should give it a little more time. Let a little more time pass, maybe like, you know, 16 years. And then we can revisit. Okay, let's say another 8 years. Okay. If this 8 years passes and then he tries again, we need some form of stabilizing before we can, you know, allow people who just are soft and straight to the point to get it done. But at this point, he's a great,
as president of Nigeria, was that he's too soft a person. You know, he's too gentle man. His gentility will not allow him rule this country the way the country is supposed to be ruled. And some people actually thought that, okay, for Nigeria, we need someone that is, you know, more like harsh, stiff. Is it stiff now? But somebody that, you know, can take a decision
and stand
by that decision,
well,
no matter what.
I agree of some sort. That's what I'm saying.
I think he should just, like you said, relish in the glory of, you know.
And I mean, he's serving on the board as an elder statesman with regards to political issues in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole. So yes, he's won his place. He has won the hearts of, you know, the nations, as it were, with, you know, his decisions and his practices in days of leadership. So yes, I mean, APC, Tinubu, and meeting with Jonathan. I mean, just before we went on the news brief, we actually called by saying that it was such a slight and an affront on the person of the then president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And just like you said, and it said, right, in politics, there are no permanent friends and there are no permanent enemies. In 2014, they needed to take the seat. So it's a matter of followers knowing where to draw the line. Don't take it too much.
Because even if you look at all that has been said, that were more like manifestos of the APC
nothing has
at
changed.
The time, Nothing has
Nothing
changed.
has changed.
Will you say that you're buying fuel at a lower price today? It is different.
Have you been
Totally
paid 5,000
different. Have you been
monthly?
paid 5,000 naira monthly? And have there been jobs for even the teeming youths that, every university at every year churns out into society? Now, 3 million jobs, where are those trying to like push out certain information or drawing out some kinds of blueprints that is not attainable in the administration? We are not saying that these things they should know beforehand that it's not going to be attainable, but I think that they should be more conscious of the kinds of things they put out there in terms of propaganda, because it just has a way of coming back to them, and at the end of the day you find out that they just shot themselves on the foot by themselves. So I think that that is what is happening. But again, if you ask me, I think that we just, in terms of negotiations, in terms of peace talks that have gone under the water, between these two people, and for him to, wake up one day and decide to go meet the former president of Nigeria, that means that they had, squashed whatever squabbles they had, or whatever rifts they had, in whatever, okay, in the country. And then let's not also forget that, of course, political parties will always want to run down the other just to make a point and gain that popularity and gain votes at the end of the day. So I just think that,
well, when we say that, I think come up with your manifesto, say the things you want to do. You don't need to drag another person this much. All of those things, it's not necessary in the first place. If you know you have a better advantage and what you can bring that is different and better on the table, put your offer on the table and defend your offer.
but if you ask me, that's what APC did in 2014 by saying that they are going to provide 3 million jobs.
No, but there is a clear statement there that has Goodluck Jonathan's name to it.
Yeah.
Why not just say what you want to do? You don't have to like slight people this much, and then now Nigerians are having to be like, okay, you that said this thing about this person in so yeah, you are the one. Why to these kinds of meetings? There are people in this country that still hold the former president Goodluck Jonathan in high esteem. And when they begin to see certain people paying him visits, they will say, okay, body language interpretation. Right, and there are going to be people who may go and vote for certain people because statements that they believe in have given some form of non-verbal cues, by their meetings. So these photo ops actually do have a lot of meaning, and our political elites know what bold visit so far to the former president in recent times with regards to this, the current crop of people vying for the presidency. And you're going to see, now that Tinubu has gone, there's going to be another person who's going to go and another person who's going to go. So they know we had someone who came on an interview one time and said, it's a matter of calculation. They know what they're doing.
They're placing their cards on the table and knowing which one to check and which one not to check.
They know what they're doing. So they know what shots that are calling to have what kind of responses out of voters. So
and tell us exactly what it is they hold behind closed doors.
Even if it's not everything, it's just let's have a little idea of what the meeting was for you. Nobody's selling our nation at the end of the day.
Okay, so let's move away from there now. And of course, the name Wike, Nyesom Wike, will be on our lips for the longest of times, especially in Nigeria. Until the elections are over, and even maybe after the elections, we continue to hear this particular name, Nyesom Wike, Rivers State Governor. I think because he has planted himself so strategically that everything just begins to revolve around him, and every day we come up with, we see different kinds of dramas, being playing out. And just like the former governor of Taraba State had said that, he's acting more like a meeting in London where he met for the first time, according to him, the presidential candidate of his party, the People's Democratic Party. And then he also had a meeting with the flag bearer of the All Progressive Congress, Amidst Tinubu. And then, of course, there was also a meeting between himself, the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, and the Labour Party presidential candidate as well. All of that happened in London. and according to them, when they came back, the outcome of the meeting or the intent of the meeting all the countries facing today does not need a single person, to those were the lines.
We don't need
those
a single
are the lines, right? So
it's
they do
gotta
not
be
need like
collaborative
a
effort.
single person,
True
to deal with the issues that we have on ground. So it's more like a collaboration, a collabo, to push the country forward. Yes, that was what was said. But in between, I know that Wike came out the other day to, first he said that there's so much to be said about the squabbles in the PDP. Yes, okay. And then he's coming out again to tell us that, okay, the PDP, he's going to make sure that the PDP wins the elections, the forthcoming elections. So we are wondering, where is Wike actually playing to? But anyways, let's just look at that particular video. Even though it started on a very funny note, he has some very funny dance steps, but let's listen to what he has to say.
Instead of everybody to concentrate on how PDP will win election, you go and pay money to television houses to talk about Wike every day. Meanwhile, Wike and his team were busy bringing down every structure of APC here, providing the dividends of democracy to our people, named Wike. Since you so much like the name, what I want to advise my country, look, you have a job. Make sure PDP wins Kaduna State. That is their job. Leave Wike. Make sure PDP wins in Kaduna State. That is all I've told everybody. In Kaduna, make sure PDP wins. In Niger, make sure PDP wins. Operation, deliver your state. Don't use any person's state to add up. So it's unfortunate. And that tells you, when I said the day I will speak, some of you, those you rate, you wouldn't even buy them for ₦1. At the appropriate time, I will tell you whom they are, the kind of characters we are talking about. People will speak here today, tomorrow they say different things. You begin to wonder, is it the leaders you are talking about? Is it this leader that spoke with me last night? Is it the leader?
Away from, I was trying to go on his steps, try to, do the pepper dam. But of course we know that Wike is a very controversial, aside from being controversial, he's also very vocal, when he wants to talk. But I think there's some key messages in what he has said, and that's the point of Operation Deliver Your State, in the forthcoming elections. Now, let's not also forget that there's some quiet wars going on in the PDP. These are conversations we've had over and over, trying to analyze the integral or rather internal wranglings in the PDP right now. And it seems as if a lot of people are happy on the fact that Wike is not actually happy that he wasn't picked as the vice presidential candidate, as against the decision of the committee. But away from all of that, we understand that these things are playing out. But for him to come out recently and tell us, look, let's see how we can deliver, instead of you harping on Wike did this, Wike said that, Wike, let's see how we can go beyond even the inter-party rivalries, the inter-party squabbles that we are having, to even seeing how we can begin to win the elections. So more like, okay, leave Wike aside, it's becoming too much. I think the other day I had to put on my status, I was even exhausted, I was exasperated about the whole issue of Wike here today, Wike tomorrow, and all of that. Elections for PDP did not win elections.
Yeah, of course, calling out the PDP governors to go back to their states and put in the work that is necessary. I mean, the propaganda around Wike's name has become really strong in the past few weeks, and he's even of the opinion that you're losing focus on what matters the most, and that will be you going back to your state, to your own grassroots, and garnering the very much needed votes that PDP will need to win the elections, instead of making the conversations whether or not Wike is going to be a reason, like you said, a reason why PDP failed talks about naming names. Now, we know that Nigeria is a place where we always promise to name names, but we never get to the point where these names are called. I mean, we talked about Melekari yesterday, talking about mosques and churches. If there is really any, name it at once. Don't tell us that they're, a blanket statement. So in terms of Wike saying there are certain conversations he will be giving, out very soon. We've heard a lot of promises of naming names in our nation.
No, I think that
And
that is
then,
just him trying to like put people on the edge, and
to expect
build
something.
some kinds of tension in different quarters, just like
And
he
especially
said.
when he says, is this the person who talked to me last
Last night,
who is saying this? Because it's any normal mind is going to make quick calculations. Like we said, he's like a bride. He's been visited by like everybody in recent times. So when he begins to say, we always say, we just even said it, when he's like, okay, these meetings are closed door meetings, we do not know what was discussed behind these closed door meetings. And Wike is saying you're having closed door meetings and saying some other things in the open. Very soon we would have to talk about it in the open. But I mean, Nigerians are actually following the series.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like a drama series. We're all watching. At this point now, we know that Wike is saying, PDP governors, go back to your state and deliver on your state for the People's Democratic Party. Stop putting my name in your mouth. Remove my name from your mouth.
Let his name not be a decoy for you to fail elections and not deliver elections in your own state. Okay, so let's focus on the elections, and everybody should leave Wike alone. Whatever integral squabbles is happening in the PDP,
they shouldn't tie it to his name.
Yeah, nobody should tie it to his name, because I think that's what's happy that he wasn't selected as a vice presidential candidate, and away from even vice presidential candidates too, that he was also at the brink of winning the ticket for the PDP as well. So maybe all of that is just messing up with his emotions, but he has said it. Yes. And then he says that for those that know him, when once he makes up his mind on something, he follows suit to make sure it stands. And I think this will also, to a large extent, put to the rest the issue of him, moving out to another party or something like that.
Yeah, him moving out to another party, but it will not give rest to whether or not he will be in that party working for another party.
Well,
it doesn't.
You never can tell. You won't say that, okay, because you wouldn't know. We wouldn't know. So
we know what we know, but the part that we do not know.
But he has also promised that his state, which is Rivers State, would definitely deliver for PDP. So, from all the consultations that have happened in recent times, one can never tell which side of the divide Wike is actually tilting to. Don't forget, these people are politicians.
We're talking of last-minute surprises also.
Yes, these people are politicians, and they can spring up any surprise. They can do anything, just to. But I think above all that Wike is trying to do, I think, just like we had conversations before now, he's just trying to build himself up to the stage of the fact that he stays relevant in Nigeria for the longest of times. Let's also look at, what Tinubu is doing for the Western, Southwest, where his name just rings a bell. Every politician writes a done deal for you. I think that's what Wike is gradually building himself
trying to be that man for the South.
Yes, he's trying to be that man, that voice for the South states. And we don't know exactly, but it may have its own good, it may have its own disadvantages as well.
It may, of course.
I think at this point,
we'll just take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be joined with our guest who will be handling some recent crises in the aviation sector. A lot is happening in the aviation sector that is really what would I call it? Is leaving Nigerians disgruntled. So we'll take a quick break, and when we return, the rest of the conversation on Rise and Shine will continue. Just stay with us.
A knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs creates new dynamics towards emerging market millionaires and billionaires. From the dot-com era to the oil booms, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360, taking you to the business around the globe. Join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays, exclusive on Spectrum Television. Business 360.
Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries?
Murder of Hebrew. He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
conversation right now that has to do with the aviation industry. And some months ago, we had that there's been so much crisis in the Nigerian aviation industry, from some airlines, stopping their operations in the country, to the Nigerians to fly the airspaces, to even some foreign airlines stopping their operations, like the Emirates airline, for the fact that there's been some trapped funds in the country that the Central Bank of Nigeria is not releasing in terms of ticket sales. And a sanction now, would I call that a sanction? But has threatened, yes, to sanction some airlines who are indebted to them to some very large amount of monies. And I think that sanction began yesterday, which was the 31st of August 2022. Joining us to have this very robust room. Good morning, Mr. Udo, and many thanks for joining us on the show this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Janice. Great to be with you this morning.
Yes, and of course, Uya is also here, so you'll be talking to both of us.
Good morning,
Yeah,
Mr. Udo.
hello,
Good
yeah.
to have you.
Same here. Good to be with you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Okay, let's go into the conversation now. Let's just have your opinion of exactly.
The challenges in the Nigerian aviation sector is multifarious and, if you allow, rather gargantuan, as it were. I'm saying that because it would seem like the Nigeria is happening to the aviation industry. For instance, part of the reason why you have escalated fares become quite expensive, and there's only a single vendor bringing that in, importing that fuel for the aviation industry. And the practitioners of the aviation industry, the airline operators, have recently even said, okay, give us the license for acting our operations. And of course, also the importance of the aviation industry for any economy. It enables movement within moments across cities and towns and across countries. And if the aviation industry collapses, the entire economy collapses. And this is the situation where we find our locations, because traveling by road has become not just, it has become more expensive, than traveling by air, because to travel by road, there's a possibility that you can get kidnapped. So these are all of the issues that are there within the aviation industry that has encumbered the operation. Some airlines have gone moribund. Some airlines have closed down, like Aero Contractor said sorry, and that's one of the long-standing airlines in the country that have had to shut down. Many others have just gone on the ground because they can't operate within the sector, and others are finding ways, to cut costs, to be able to meet what's happening.
Okay, fair enough. Security, more like you said, people are scared, to go by the roads. Even the rail lines are not safe, because remember the Abuja Kaduna train mishap that happened.
Absolutely.
Up till today. Not all the abductees of that particular incident have been released. So would you also, say that insecurity has also affected the Nigerian aviation sector to a large extent?
Well, I secure situation within the country has affected that, but I'm thinking that that has even made the necessity for the airlines to be operational, so that, because you can't travel by road, I can't envisage traveling by road, whether to Lagos or to Abuja, for any reason. There's nothing that important that will make me go by road to those locations, except maybe Port Harcourt here. It is. That's what insecurity does. If you decide to travel by road, you might get kidnapped, and you might pay higher than the 80-something thousand naira and the FS is right now. So, but if, for instance, you had a situation where producing aviation fuel in the country, say maybe you're doing terrorists have taken over those locations, you will say, oh, they've hindered production of such, and so they don't have much to do. Aviation fuel is imported. What is happening is that the cost of that importation, and there are several reasons for that. Our naira has become so bastardized, running at the black market at 705 naira to $1, and this international tradition sector. That's because of the padding of the cost of importing the fuel. People are living off the impoverishment of Nigerians. People are living off the misery of Nigerians by buying the aviation fuel, and now I'm coming to sell it at such a horrific price that it makes businesses collapse. And that's why our economy is the way it is, because our economy basically is on all of these are imported. And the debacle is that Nigeria is one of the topmost or one of the top oil producers in the world, about the seventh, and yet we are importing petrol, diesel, and aviation fuel. That will affect the economy, that will affect the aviation industry. I think that's where the problem is, really.
To withdraw their services in the Nigerian airspace because of monies that are being trapped in the Nigerian economy. And just yesterday we saw that the Central Bank of Nigeria released $265 million to airlines over repatriation issues. Now this amount of money being trapped, which of course we had way more being trapped, and they have released 265 million. What hope dollars now, what hope does this have for have been rising so far?
Oh, certainly. The Emirates threatened the other time, then called it off, and then eventually indicated they were going to close shop in Nigeria, and it's ditto for a number of other international airlines. Sad, I repeat again, Nigeria has happened to every facet of Nigeria's economy and polity. So you find out that it is the norm everywhere that you buy your tickets in Naira, and they transmit the Naira to the central. That's the understanding, and of course there are margins off of that for the country itself, and so it's profitable for international airlines to come to your nation. All right, and so they've not been able to do that, and they failed in that aspect to respect that.
Network is frozen at this point. Yeah, because I think he'll drop conversations and issues, because I think another thing we'd even want to find out is how did these monies get trapped in the system? What are the these are things people would want to ask. These airlines are doing their business.
Yes.
Why is their money being trapped? Some of those kinds of issues.
I think those were some of the major questions and concerns that were raised, because let's not forget, it's more like monies from sales of tickets, that's these companies have done.
So what's the governmental interference with all of that?
Well, maybe he'll have to, he'll be in a better position to explain that to us, where the government
It should be more regulatory than interfering, actually.
Well, I think it's also as part of regulations that these monies are being, kept with the central bank. But the question now was, why hold back these monies? But at some point,
builds up to that kind of amount.
Yes, at some point we had that even that amount actually can be built up in maybe 1 month, considering how much it is to get even a ticket out of the country as we speak, with all the economic issues that we are having and facing right now. But I think also that there was a thought that I wanted to share, but it just slipped away. But I think that let's also see how we can, in terms of get to a stage where some of those airlines will begin to tell us that we are not working in your airspaces anymore, we are beginning to leave your country. Because even when you look at you go back now to check on air ticket prices of air tickets to other countries from Nigeria, it hit up to 2 million naira, which is not supposed to be like that, you know. And then you ask, where do people get this monies from? You know, so there was also the diversions of not getting tickets from the. So let's not always allow it get to that point where we get to begin to find some of these, you know, issues and hindrances and challenges play out in the country actually.
Yeah, of course. And of course, when things are almost finally falling apart, because I'm sure these repatriated funds they've been having conversations about these funds for quite a while. And then when you see a government that keeps saying, okay, we don't have money for this, we don't have money for this, and then when
you know, that was another line of argument that was raised. Okay, so $600 million is what is being owed in terms of trapped funds of international airlines, and then the government saying we do not have money. And at the point where Emirates decided, okay, we're not going to fly your airspaces anymore, 250 something just popped up. Where did it pop up from? So I think that beyond all of this, there should be some form of transparencies, you know, and let's also put our cards on the table. Will it have like a negative effect even on the common Nigerians and all of that? And then looking at, you know, the government trying to like see how they can repatriate this trapped funds. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has threatened to sanction even our domestic airlines now for over 19 billion naira debt on ticket sales. Prices for different airlines, and people were paying up to, yes, within the country, you're paying up to 20. Did I say 20?
100,000.
120,000, 150,000. You're paying up to 80,000 naira just to travel within the country. And these are tickets that way back, not even way back sounds like 5 years ago. Some months ago, we could actually get these tickets for as low as 25,000 naira. So it's really pathetic. The roads are not safe, the rails are not safe, the waterways, and then the airspaces that we would have thought would have been the best and last option for our safety is now, you know, raising prices, not just because of the Jet A1 that is expensive. From the look of things, at some point we bought it at 300 naira, but as it stands now, people are buying the Jet A1 for as high as 800, 1,000 naira. And how much of it can you buy to fly Britain? Or we should try to make some kinds of shift, you know, so that things are better off for the general public.
Yeah, we need a major shift, and maintenance is a big issue. Maintenance is a big issue. We do not bring in businesses, whether they're international investors or home-based investors, and we do. Good to have you back. Sorry about that. So I don't know if you can just continue with the question you were answering. How much the $265 million repatriation being paid to foreign airlines is going to help us, you know, in terms of doing business with these operators?
Boost the confidence of the international airlines to remain working in Nigeria, and it's the right thing to do. And then I tried to trace that this wasn't today's issue, that this issue has always been there, and the government have worked very hard to prove to international partners that they don't have integrity, you know. For Nigeria, persons who want to travel internationally will buy with the naira, and then that money will be committed to the central bank, who now transmit the dollar equivalent, you know, to the international airlines. And for years, that money has been owed. Remember, Emirates sometime last year threatened to shut down. They shut down, or early this year even, the number of flights going into the Emirates. They don't need you in their country. You're the ones who need them. All right. And so the result, when we heard that, we laughed about it because we knew exactly what the issue was about. It was simply about this non-remittance of money to the people. So releasing that money down now will go a long way. And then I went on to say that, isn't it funny that we're able to respond to the international airlines because they serve the elitist outlook, you know, the elitist point of view when they couldn't solve the ASO problem. Now they quickly released $265 million to the international airlines because it affects them more than it affects the common man. quickly address that situation. I wish they would take the same, speed to the ASU issue and resolve that as well.
Is the fact that at some point this particular tweet that Nigerian Airways was grounded for as long as possible and the nation cannot boast of its own personal national carrier. Now, what do you think about this? And do you think that truly this administration can come up with a national carrier for us as a country?
Okay.
Administration was saying that they are going to come up with a national carrier. Of course, they tagged it Nigeria Air. And then we also know that at some point in our lives as a country, we had the Nigerian Airways as a national carrier for us. Now, do you think that this present administration can go?
Going through with that. Recall that there was an airfare somewhere in the United Kingdom, I think it was Ireland at the time, can't remember now, where the Minister for Aviation made a presentation declaring Nigerian Air. And quickly people began to ask, where is this? So we should have the national carrier out. And now they moved it to 2023. The lifespan of this administration will wrap up by May 2023. How feasible is that? Probably what they're going to do is hire an airline and tag it with the Nigerian colors. But you see, the pride of a nation, the airline of a nation, every nation must, especially a nation that Nigeria that prides itself as a giant of Africa, must needs have those things. Nigerian airline, ship line that flies its flags across the waters of the world, and an airline that flies its flags across the airwaves. The air is a giant of Africa. And I ask myself, by what means and in what criteria are we doing that? All right. Look at Kenya. Everybody knows about Kenyan Airlines that is running so good that the Netherlands Airlines they're the ones. Kenyan Airlines part of that international pact. That they are managing, and we don't have, and we are calling ourselves the giant of Africa. We don't have an airline, to tell the people
that is affecting this coming to pass. I
corruption.
mean, like corruption. Yes, I know that as a nation we are wealthy enough to fly the least as an as a national carrier. So it's really bad.
Corruption killed Nigerian Airways, and corruption is the reason why we don't have a national carrier. And when what's this airline? Corruption is the reason why they left the country as well. All right. So the major challenge is corruption because of the appointments of who mans where, and so you find that there's that sense of entitlement that makes that certain persons get into that place and feel, oh, this is, Wike was saying the other day, a primary 6 school certificate holder becomes the minister for foreign affairs of the country like Nigeria. So what do you think would happen, with our international relations? That killed the national carrier Nigerian Airways, and it has made it quite difficult for us to have, our own national carrier.
Okay, so just like an aside, just having Nigeria, get their own carrier from start to finish, and adopting an airline and flagging it as the Nigerian, adopting, another person's airline and giving it our name. What's the thin line?
There is great benefit in acquiring our own airlines, and of course using them as a national carrier. This other airline and just put on their Imo Airlines, but the plane belongs, to Dana Airlines with the other airline. But you see, it's more, like you rightly said, it's more honorable to have us, and it's more beneficial to have us for a number of reasons, the economic reasons, the political reasons, the social reasons. For us to have that, we have that. It's always going to be more beneficial to do that than to, hire somebody's airline and just put your flag on it. At the end of the day, you want to say, okay, it's about the issue of maintenance and running costs and all of that. But still, the maintenance and running costs will still fall on the nation. So it's better to acquire our own airlines and run our own planes. It's better that way. It's always
Okay. Another thing, you talked about corruption, and I think yesterday or so, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority decided to threaten a sanction on domestic airlines for over 19 billion naira debt on ticket sales. Now, it makes me begin to wonder. These airlines are actually getting returns on sales. So why is there so much in
the aviation industry is nothing new.
Okay.
All airlines in the world, if you recall, I think was it last year, year before last, Air France went on strike. They were even owing, staff. Last year, British Airways staff went on strike. They owe and they pay because they are an ongoing concern. Now the cost, and that's why it's important to have your own national carrier. The cost of running an airline is so much that international governments subsidize the airline business across the world. Now for the local airlines, not getting these subventions, there's a tendency that they will owe their it's like going to the bank and obtaining a loan to run your business, and you're banking with the bank and things are going on and you pay and you get another set of loan and run. So being indebted is not new. The director of the NCAA, who's threatening, seems not to be aware of how that debt came about. So what the airline operators are saying is that some of the airlines owing that debt of 19 billion, the root of the matter. So why go out and make seemingly if they collapse, if they close down, everything in the country closes down. That's exactly what it is. So I don't think that there's anything wrong in indebtedness now. But what is pushing up, of them at exorbitant cost to the point where the guy said, look, give us license, let's import our own aviation fuel. If you import, go ahead to do so. What they've been given is subvention to ameliorate that. That's not good enough, and it's the corruption that has led to that. All right.
Okay, let's look for a way forward. Yeah. What do you think are some of the policies the government can put in place, to help the aviation sector? Because I think that with all that we have in the country today in terms of insecurity, the airspaces are just about the only
are actually cutting out trips because they can't afford it. I mean, look at just going to a place like Abuja, for instance, and someone has to factor down at least 200,000 naira for airfare. I mean, it's a little too much to be asking of people in this economy, no matter what we are going to do in this.
That's how important the aviation industry is right now to this country, Nigeria. And I think one of the ways that we can help that is let the government allow the airlines to import the aviation fuel. All right, if they do that by themselves, the airline fuel, they're probably not to where we have it at 15,000 naira per trip or 20,000 naira per trip, but it certainly will come down to maybe the 40s. Another thing affecting, the aviation industry is the bastardization of the naira. So if we can show all of what the aviation industry does, everything about the aviation industry is international. Maintenance is outside of the country. Routine checks is outside of the country. None of that is happening in Nigeria. So the government needs to look at that, work at shoring up the naira. But number one thing is, firstly, allow the airline
aviation fuel, it will be cheaper for them.
Definitely. That's what they are saying, and we know the corruption that is in the process of importing, subsidy, and yet we are buying petrol at 200 naira here in Akwa Ibom. Now, if there's that subsidy, then we should buy it a bit lower than that. All right, but here we are, and with all of that. So let the airline operators import competitive pricing.
Why do you think the federal government is quite stiff-necked about allowing them to do so? Because I know they've made that demands for quite a while.
Oh yeah, your guess is as good as mine on that score. You see, because I think it will make sense But you see, the thing, it makes sense to allow them to do that. But good businessmen would have gone out to find out exactly what it cost outside of that and what the landing cost would be. So they already know these things, all right? But they just don't want to let that out of the bag. And I think that's where the problem is. But I believe that soon the aviation industry.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Harry Dennis Rodor. Thank you so much for your time. Chairman, Akwa Ibom State Civil Society Organizations Forum. Thank you so much for your time.
To be able to join you again this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
We
very
appreciate
much, sir.
you
We
for
do
your time.
appreciate.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, obviously
You too.
we have a handful in our hands in terms of the aviation industry, and if you ask me, I think that this is devoid of some form of corruption, and I think that at this point, I think our leaders should begin to know that this is a menace. It's destroying us as a people.
Even our reputation in the community of nations is...
No, about what's happening in the country. Let's take our tidbits and we'll start with Did You Know?
We actually do have a green river here in Akwa Ibom State in Ibesipo. I've seen it for myself.
Oh, wow.
And then it's now beautiful to know why it has that color. So it's as a reason of some bacterial variation.
Yeah.
I looked at it, the expanse of water is absolutely green.
Wow.
And like it said about the pink river from Senegal, it's actually safe to swim and do other things. And when I went there, we are still talking about Corona's money, but I mean, alas, we are here as a nation. But
I think we need to go to Ibesipo and really find out the story behind that green river. You'll be surprised that, some people will tell you how it all started.
Yeah.
Maybe it did not start like that. Or
it didn't start like that, of course. It gradually became that color. I've actually gone there for Spectrum Television, so yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a really nice story, and the feel is good. I just had nostalgia when I read that, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
great.
let's have our health tips for the morning.
We cannot overemphasize on the importance of these particular actions. Some people just feel that it's always when you have to go to the gym, and then another thing with exercise is it needs you to be like very disciplined. Tell yourself, Janice, this morning I'm going to wake up and do 100 skips, and then you wake up and let your body carry you to do 100 skips.
Wow, it's such a serious case. It's just that
I know that some people are not on this table at all. But anyways,
the little work I do between my house and the office is exercise enough.
Job, but you get to sit down for so many hours. Please work out, do exercises.
And really, you know that the way sometimes is even what I jokingly just said.
Yeah.
Sometimes on your way back to or fro work, stop at a certain junction and just take a walk to your house. You don't always have to, move from your house into your car, from your car to your office. Yeah. Create space in between to take some long walks, and it's really
yes.
really mouth-watering, I must say, because it's new. I've never even heard about it before. Plantain moi. And I think what struck me is the fact that the plantain needs to be overripe. So that's another option what families can use their overripe plantains to do. So once it's overripe, I think blend it together. Then I mean the pepper and everything else
And
will help.
everything will help as well.
Nice.
Nice one. Let's take our quote for the day and we wrap things up on this end. Do not let making a living prevent you from making a life. John Wooden, coach. Do not let making a living prevent you from making a life. I think
yes,
but I think that beyond just hustling, of course Nigerians, we're very peculiar with the word hustle. When once it is Nigeria, oh, that hustling spirit is that we just want to make ends meet, make a lot of cash, and then we forget about even living life. Take out time, go to a very cool, cozy place and relax. Eat what you like I do.
Like you absolutely do. Build necessary bonds with family and friends, grow relationships. At the end of the day, memories is all we really do have. But at this point, my name remains Uyanieka, and it's been such a delight doing Rise and Shine with you today. Thanks for being a part of our show.
And we can hope to see you again tomorrow for another very interesting edition of Rise and Shine. My name is Janice Cobham. Thank you so much for being a part of it. And we say thank you too to all those that keep working behind the scene to make sure that we have a smooth show. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.